On this video, I'm going to review the Lumberjack SCMS210SB single bevel compound miter saw from Lumberjack UK. So the main features of this saw is it's a single bevel with a 210mm sliding function. It has a laser guide. It's made from aluminium. Has a 70mm depth of cut. 1500 watt motor. It has adjustable depth cutting as well, so you can make grooves or half lap joints. And in a nutshell, I think it's a really good saw. So I've had this saw for about 9 or 10 months or so, and it's my second miter saw that I've had. I had a much cheaper one, and I knew there was always going to be a difference between a really cheap tool and a more expensive one, though this is £99.95 on the Lumberjack website, so it's not an expensive tool by any means. And there is a difference. I think you can have too cheap a tool, but I find Lumberjack Tools to be sort of a nice happy medium for somebody that's not a professional and doesn't want to spend money on professional tools like me. And the whole point of this channel is aimed at people like me, where we don't have quite as much choice in the UK as maybe they do, across the pond in the States. But I do recommend Lumberjack Tools. And also their customer services, I've emailed back into regarding another issue, and they were just absolutely fantastic. So I do, I've only got nice things to say, but I have done a number of reviews, and not everything is, is amazing, and I am not affiliated with them at all. So on with the review anyway. So this is the saw. This is obviously, as you can see, quite well used. It's a single bevel, which does mean that you are limited. You can only do that one way, but you can flip your workpiece most of the time, I think, so it doesn't stop me. So it does slide, and that goes to 210mm for the cut depth, which is quite a lot. And I quite often flip work over once I've cut through halfway through the wood, if it's something that will fit on the miter saw and I can cut it, because I just prefer cutting on it. So I've extended the fence there with sort of a sacrificial fence, so to extend it so I can put stop blocks on, and it works great. Occasionally I replace the boards that I screw into it, but repeatable cuts on by using a stop block is quite a big thing for me. I don't like measuring, so that's really useful. So straight out the box, this was square. I never had to actually adjust the fence. I don't know whether I got lucky with it, but you can see there, still square, and that little engineer square is definitely dead on. Perfect, because a miter saw that's not square is utterly useless. But yeah, dead on. Never had any issues with it. So this is obviously set at 90 degrees, but you can go to 45 either way, and it's got this handy feature, so you just turn the dial there, and then it's got sort of a trigger that you flick up to quickly move it, and you can dial into common measurements, angles on it. Obviously, as it's a miter saw, it is for angles, and I find these to be quite accurate, and it's so quick and easy to flick to them that you don't mind doing it. On my old saw, it was so difficult to get the angle right. I just never wanted to knock it out of 90 degrees because of how long it'd take to get back in. But it's got its own stop on it, so you can't not get it back to 90 degrees. It just goes back in the slot and it's squared up again. So that is a massive feature, and for such a cheap saw as well, I think it's great. So these are the holes on the fence. When you get this saw, or when you see pictures of the saw, there's actually stickers covering that, so you can't tell, and sometimes you have to drill through it yourself. You don't need to on this. It comes with 2 on each side. I took one of the extension fence things that I put on it before, just to show those holes, but I always have them on anyway, and yeah, works great. I replace them now and again, and you can just screw in from the back, dead easy. Mine did also, well, they all come with a laser. My laser doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, which didn't really last long, since I've had it for 10 months or so, and it stopped working after maybe 6. I did find it quite useful, just for if I was making depth cuts with the stop on it. You know, it was quite quick and easy to see, but I do miss it, but it's not the end of the world, and I could write to Lumberjack, I suppose, because I could never find anything on the internet to find how I could replace it, but it's not been that big a deal for me to be bothered doing it. So this is the depth stop, and you just pull this out and adjust that little knob, and I preset it to this, so dead quick and easy to do if you want to make like a half lap joint or something, and I'll demonstrate one on this later on. And then if you like me, just shove it out of the way and you can get back to your full depth of cut in case you mess your cut up and end up needing to cut some more wood and starting again. So I really like that. So one of the safety features that this saw actually has is this blade guard, which does go fully around it. It's just my shelf and dust bag gets in the way there. It is made of plastic, but it doesn't feel like cheap plastic, and it does the job. It keeps it completely contained, and the only way to actually move that out of the way is to pull the little trigger on the handle so that it actually moves it, and you can then pull it down. As you can see from where the handle is, it is, I suppose, for a right-handed person. It's just sort of on the one side where it would make it awkward trying to operate this with your left hand. Obviously that's not a problem for me as I'm right-handed, but if you were a lefty, you might want to get a saw that's, sort of got a different angled handle on it. This saw also comes with 2 side extension rails, one for each side, that just screw in like so. They do go in a bit further. I didn't put them in properly when I was filming this, but I don't use mine. They do move a little bit, not as much as that if you actually screw them in properly, to be fair, but they are still slightly lower than the bed of the saw there, so not ideal. If you're building a mitre station anyway for this, you probably wouldn't need them. They're okay for when you are cutting down some 3x2s or something, 2x4s, and it does the job enough to support the wood. Additionally, it does come with this clamp which works on both sides, and I very rarely use this, but it has worked out quite handy when I have used it. So there's a slot on the back of the saw on each side, and you can just sort of twist it out of the way when it's not in use. I just tend to sort of move mine completely and then only use it when I actually really need it, but it's got a quick release thing and it screws down, and just a nice little extra feature that the saw has. So moving on to the dust collection on this saw, it comes with this little dust bag which catches some dust, as you can see there, but I don't think anybody ever finds these particularly useful. It misses a lot, and it does make an awful lot of dust mess. I always, I did actually have it hooked up to a shop vac temporarily, and I didn't see that much of a difference or an improvement with it. I still got dust everywhere, and then it was just a pain switching it on and off just because of my setup. So I abandoned it, but the dust collection is not great, but I don't think they are in most miter saws. So to utilise the bevel on this saw, there's a knob at the back that you twist. That's it there, this red one. And what you do is you just twist that to loosen it off, and then you can bevel the saw, which bevels to the left. It goes up to 45 degrees, I think. And then you just tighten it off and you can operate the saw, and you can use that with, you know, as a compound miter as well. So it's really easy to activate and take on and off. The wire, it doesn't get in the way of the blade, but just be mindful of it being there. If the fence was off, you actually just adjust it with these two bolts, one on either side of the fence, and you just adjust it with an Allen key, loosen it off, square it up with a square, and it adjusts that way. So I'll just demonstrate a cut on the saw. So I've got a piece of a dig bow here, which is some hardwood, and I'll just cut it. So it cuts through it really easily, no problems. There's a little bit of tear out on the back there, but there is quite a big gap. I do need to make a zero clearance for this. And also the blade's been on this. This is the original blade that I got with it, but it's perfectly square, and that's what I want on my saw to do. So happy with the cut. It cuts fantastic, and there's very little chip out there than that there. So I'll try some pine. So same again, very little tear out on it for a 10-month-old blade, and I do use this an awful lot because I prefer to use a miter saw than a table saw if I can, because my table saw is rubbish. So it cuts great. I forgot to film doing some actual miter cuts, which I should do, but it works great for them. So here's the mess that it makes with no dust collection on. This is just letting it fly out the back of the machine, and obviously an awful lot misses the bag. That was only from 2 very small cuts, so be mindful. It does make a mess, this saw, but if you use dust collection or build something proper to collect it in, I'm sure that would be a lot better. I'm just not very prepared. So I think the depth stop is a really good feature on this saw, and I've used it quite a number of times actually to create half lap joints. So I bought some new clamps recently, and I need to just extend this, so I've just done one, and I'll just show you how quick it is to do the other. So just to show how quick and simple this is, so I just need to adjust the depth stop, which is that there, and that's the knob that you screw down. Now I've already set this to the depth that I need for this this rack, just to get it like that. So just use a screwdriver to tighten it up, because I don't want it to come loose and accidentally cut through all of the wood. And I'll just move that out of the way, and now you can see it stops there, which will give us the perfect depth that we need for this. So when you're doing a half lap joint on a miter saw, it's got a tendency to curve because of obviously the blade on it. It's going to have an arc, so you need to mitigate that and put a bit of wood there in front of it, and that will just get rid of that curve. So a fairly decent cut. It's quick and easy to do. I know we should stop the saw before moving it, etc., but just trying to show it quick. I did get a little bit of tear out on the back of it, but you know, I can easily clean that up. And I've got a slight curve because I didn't really use a thick enough piece of wood to completely mitigate that, but it's easy enough to do. It's just a quick demonstration, but that's how quick it is to do like half lap joints, or you know, change the depth of the cut, and then you just take your screwdriver and flick it out of the way, and there you go, saw's back to normal. So I never actually did make any footage of cutting mitre cuts, which is daft for a mitre saw review, but I have done them in the past, and you know, I've got them completely 90 degrees, so can't complain. So yeah, all in all, I think this is a great saw. I think I've come across a brand that you know, I think people try out, they'll probably agree that it's a really good, you know, manufacturer for a weekend woodworker or somebody that doesn't want to spend a fortune on professional tools. And I'm really happy with my Lumberjack tools for the most part. They do what they're supposed to do. So I hope you find this useful, but with anything, when buying tools, I would say just do some research and, you know, look for videos of the tool in action so you can see for yourself. But hopefully this will have, you know, if you're a bit indecisive or thought of buying a Lumberjack mitre saw or some other Lumberjack tools and you've been umming and ahhing, take it from me, they're definitely worth the money that you're paying for them. So thanks very much for watching.